A very warm welcome, good afternoon and good evening to all of you who've joined us today as part of the Cross Culture Concerts Celebrate Our Differences Season 3, and also to our audience who's joined us, who've been traveling with us literally around the world over the past 3 seasons. Despite the pandemic, we've literally been around the world, and in Season 1 and Season 2, we featured artists from various countries, namely the United States, Canada, Europe, Africa, India, and Japan. And we featured artists who have spent a good part of their life practicing dance or music of another culture. And while in a place like LA, it's a melting pot, and we've seen many artists who do that. We felt, from SciArtsRUs that we have to curate a series specifically to shine the spotlight on artists who have actually done this. And, we wanted to essentially ask the question, what is the message, that positive message that the artist can share with everyone, in an attempt to bring people together and cultures together. And, asking that question, we started, reaching out to different artists around the world. And we've been very lucky to have very, very eminent and extremely talented artists, such as the artists that are present here, to have provided us with this support. And, I want to thank everyone, the artists and the audience who's been supporting us throughout. And without further ado, I want to kick off today's meeting, especially in light of the fact that we are featuring artists from Mexico, and the fact that this month is celebrated as the National Hispanic Heritage Month. And what better time for us to meet today and celebrate the artists who are contributing so much to the arts. Today, we are extremely honored to have Council Member Ruth Luevanos from the city of Simi Valley join us to launch the Cross Culture Concert Series. And we're also very lucky and fortunate to have Mr. Yogendra Sharma from Mexico, also join us to launch the series in addition to our fabulous artists. I want to give a brief introduction to Council Member Ruth Luevanos, if that's okay. So Council Member Ruth Luevanos was elected to the City Council in November of 2018. She has worked in various K-12 schools in the Los Angeles Unified School District for the past 20 years, where she has worked with at-risk students, parents, and communities. She's currently a full-time cross-curricular teacher and Girls Build LA advisor at John R. Wooden High School, which is a California model continuation school. She is a national board-certified teacher in social studies who has worked to promote civic education, college, and career preparation skills, and has led many parent workshops. Council Member Luevanos is also a former board member for the California Council for Social Studies, where she was the chair for the Committee of Diversity and Social Justice, a member of the Legislative Committee, and conference co-chair. Council Member Luevanos is actually extremely highly accomplished, and I don't know if I'll be able to do justice, your bio is impressive to say the least, Council Member Luevanos. But you were also the first Latina to serve in the City Council. Council Member Luevanos currently serves on the Clean Power Alliance, Southern California Association of Governments, Homelessness, General Assembly Voting Representative, Task Force on Homelessness, Ventura Council of Governments, and also as the liaison for the Neighborhood Council No. 1 and Youth Council. I guess, one thing I wanted to mention, Council Member Luevanos has taken the trouble to attend today's event from the city of Simi Valley, representing the city of Simi Valley. And I want to take a minute to thank the city of Simi Valley, Mayor Mashburn, and the council members for your continued support to the cross-culture concerts and all our other initiatives. And without further ado, I'd like to turn it over to you, Council Member, to say a few words about this event.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ranjini. I really appreciate the introduction. As you mentioned, I'm the first Latina, first woman of color ever elected to Simi Valley City Council. And I know it's because there was a recognition of the work that we do as women of color. And there is a need for us to be represented, also for working mothers, right? And 3-generation households, of which there are many of us. And so there are a lot of things that we share in common more than differentiate us. I teach ethnic studies, history, English, Spanish, health, art. I teach a lot of things right now at a continuation high school. You wear many, many hats. I'm also a full-time city councilwoman. In addition, I am also a small business owner. So my sisters and I started a company called Sisterhood for Equity. And so we actually tackle anti-racism and curriculum and data analysis and evaluation of programs that promote equity in our public schools. And so I love this program. I love what you're doing. The city of Simi Valley declared Hispanic Heritage Month this month, which actually starts in the middle of September and goes through the middle of October, because many Latin American countries celebrate their Independence Days on September 15th, 16th, or 17th. There's also a big cultural history between the Indian population and the Mexican population. I don't think many people know that there are large Indian populations in California, because of agriculture that brought us here. A lot of Indian men came to the state, to California specifically. And then because there were quotas that didn't allow Indian women to immigrate here, there were a lot of Indian men who married Mexican women in the agricultural field.
Wow.
There are a lot of Indian Mexican families and descendants in California. So, we are cross-cultural, whether we choose to be or not. Like, there is cross-culture in California. So, and I think it's beautiful that we get to celebrate, that we have families that get to celebrate Indian culture and Mexican culture and, Muslim culture and, all the different cultures together. And we're not in boxes, we are multifaceted individuals. And that's something that I love that you're doing through the SciArtsRUs program, that you're recognizing the many different facets that we as human beings and the many different places that we occupy, culturally, ethnically, linguistically, artistically. And I think it's amazing that you're doing this program. So I want to thank you for continuing this work. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for letting me impart a little history lesson for those of you who did not know. That there was a lot of crossover between agricultural workers in California specifically, and that contributes to the rich culture and history and economy that we have, because we have so many people from both groups and a lot of immigrants who are the ones who start most of the businesses in this country, because they have the faith, and the hope that they're going to be able to have that success here and the support to make it happen. So we welcome this program. We support this program. We're glad to be a part of it, and we're here to support and promote and continue to keep it going. And thank you to all the artists, all the contributors. I'm sure this is a donation of your time and talent and treasure, and it is most welcome here in the city of Simi Valley. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Councilmember Ruth Luevanos. It's such an honor to have you, and thank you for those very kind words of support to the artists and to SciArtsRUs. I want to take a minute now to introduce our other guest of honor, Mr. Yogendra Sharma. Thank you so much for making the time. Yogendra Sharma ji, actually, his cross-cultural aspect is a little different. He is originally from India, but he has specialized in Mexican culture and art. And so, like I said, he moved from India after finishing his master's in Spanish to Mexico and his doctorate in Spanish theater. And presently he teaches Sanskrit and Hindi in the Gurudev Tagore Indian Cultural Center, Embassy of India in Mexico. And he's the coordinator of the university program in Asian and African Studies at the National Autonomous University in Mexico. He also facilitates workshops and courses on literature, mythology, classical texts like the Bhagavad Gita, Yoga Sutram, Shiva Sutra, etc., in academic institutions and cultural centers, such as the UNAM, the Ibero-Americana, Tec de Monterrey, UAM, White television channels. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing any of these, to name a few. I'm going to also let Yogendra ji say a few more about some of these activities. But his most recent publications are the Bibliografía Hispanica Gandhiana and El Canto del Niño de las Ocho Jorobas. I hope I'm not mispronouncing it. Apologies. But Yogendra ji, it's an honor to have you. You have introduced us to the artists as well, and we would love to hear your perspective of, the cross culture from an Indian to a Mexican milieu. It's all yours. Thank you so much for being here.
On the contrary, Ranjini ji, thanks for the invitation. It's an honor to share this space with all these artists and the council member, respected Ruth. Well, first of all, let me congratulate you because it's so necessary. It's so necessary to talk and to organize these events, especially cross cultures. And as we were talking once, Ranjani ji, you and me, that I don't consider that these barriers, of cultures, of countries, and all they exist really. They don't exist, no. But there is I would say there is an advantage of also these barriers because then there is diversity. Because had it there be only one language, for example, no, so it would be really boring this world. No? In the same way, so when the art travels from one place to another and from one space and one time to another, it always varies. It always varies, and that is the best part about human being: the diversity. The diversity. And when two cultures they come along and then they create a new mixture. Also, for example, what council member was talking about. No, the community of I'm not wrong. This community was called Garcia Singh. There in California, no, and it happened during the first quarter of 20th century, after First World War, when some Indians, especially Indians from Punjab, they settled there, and they get along very well with the Mexican women, especially, no, and this community was created, Singh Garcia. So this is all those. So this phenomena, when two cultures they meet, they end up creating a new concept also of this, cross culture, and also as I was mentioning, when something crosses some time also, it is not the same before 50 years ago than now. It's not the same when I reached Mexico. Then the influence and the presence of Indian culture in Mexico, it has been changed. It has been changed in the last 20 years. There are more and more Mexicans interested and dedicated to Indian culture and Indian art, especially. All the three eminent teachers I know from very near, Pati, Saknite, and Mariana, they have been in Indian art since more than 2 or 3 decades, I think.
Amazing.
Oh, so imagine they started before I reach here about Indian art and Indian culture, and I mean they have done so much. They have created so many students also who themselves are now performers of Indian culture and Indian art also.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to congratulate you, and whatever you need, you can count on us.
Right.
Thanks.
No, thank you so much, Yogendra ji. I think it's a great meeting right now. We have and one thing I wanted to say, to our audience who's been following us, and also to the artists here and the council members, we've featured artists who have practiced culture, not necessarily Indian, folks who have been from other countries who've practiced music or dance of any culture. It just so happens that in this particular meeting today, we have artists from Mexico who've been practicing some very, very classical dance forms, some of which I think a couple of our artists couldn't join today, some of which are quite rare even back in India. So it's amazing, to your point, Yogendra ji, that spending decades, practicing dance or music of another culture, just bravo to the artists for taking that extra trouble, going the extra mile to do that and bring people together. And in this day and age, I think that's really what we need. Thank you for those kind words and your support, both Council Member Ruth Luevanos and Yogendra ji. Thanks again. I want to introduce our artists while our guests are still present. I want to introduce Patricia Torres. Thank you, Patricia Torres, for joining us today. She is a dancer, choreographer, and teacher. And, since her very early days, she's been in touch with dance. And I'm going to give a brief introduction, and I'm going to let you explain a little bit more about your journey, Patricia G. She received training in the Martha Graham style and many other styles and techniques of modern dance, but she was initiated by Guruji Leela Sampson to the beautiful art form called Bharatanatyam, which is the one of the Indian classical dance forms, and being introduced in the most profound and serious philosophical traditions of this classical art form. Patricia is a classicist and has done much to uphold the traditions and values of this dance form. She has been a regular participant in prestigious dance festivals and has had outstanding teaching experience for over 30 years. And she says we have to be sincere and humble in our teaching as well as in receiving the knowledge. Without further ado, Patricia G., I'd like to turn it over to you to say a few words. Thank you for joining us today.
Well, first of all, I just want to say thank you for this invitation. I'm very happy to participate with all my colleagues. Well, I do not meet Denis, but nice meeting you. And I'm very happy to share with them. Hello, Counselor Ruth Luevanos. Nice to meet you and to have you with us. Well, I can tell you about my story. I started in dance very young, and my introduction to dance was the modern dance. So I've been dancing and performing for many, many years in modern dance. I was working as a teacher, also as a choreographer. Choreography was always very much into my skin. I really love and I enjoy very much that. And after so many years of doing modern dance, I had a necessity for a change. You know, for me, contemporary dance is coming. I had a feeling that I was having it from the outside of the body and then coming to my inside. No, that's the way I was feeling the modern dance. When I meet and I have the chance to be introduced to the Bharatanatyam, I have a different experience because I then started to work first from my inside, then coming to my outside. You know, for me, it was like how you say competition to be the two different ways of coming together to the dance. And for me, it's an experience very interesting and very important because for me, to be on the stage is like to be in the magic place, you know, where there is nothing else but you and what you have earned and understood about dance, and then let it flow and show it to the people who's coming to see you. Besides that, I also am very happy because I have the opportunity to learn from a very serious gurus. You know, Leela Samson, she's one of the greatest dancers in India. She's a very well-known dancer, choreographer. She's a writer. She's a very interesting person. and I have the chance to be together with her. Like I was in school, but basically it was like Guru Shisha Parampara, the traditional style, because she was living in the ground floor, I was living in the third floor, but we were together more than 24 hours.
Amazing.
Doing so many things together, since the cleaning, the cooking, the everything. So it was very nice to have that introduction to the Indian life, because that was my first time. So it, for me, was really deep, was very, enriquecedor, how you say in English. It enriched me a lot, you know. And after that, I also have the opportunity, because I have been there for 4 years. Then I came back to Mexico. Then I said, no, I need to go back again to India. Then after a year, I came back. I went back again to India. I was in Delhi because Lila Aka was in Delhi. Then in that moment, Lila Aka, she was really, really in the highest moment of her life, very busy, very famous, So she has the opportunity to introduce me to Guru Nanak Sar. So then I started with him, and I spent this year and a half with him learning, and I become like a member of the family. That was another kind of experience, to share the house of a family, the daughters, and really my training become part of the family. So I used to train with the daughters, not with anybody else. No, so it was really very nice, very kind people, very lovingly people. And then my last guru that I've met, I have the chance to meet her in Mexico, was very funny. She came to Mexico to do a workshop, and then I was organizing something, and then I have to meet her. And that was the way we get together. And with Guruji Gayatri Keshavan, I've been the last years, many years, since 2002. I was working with her till these days. And I'll try to go to India every 4 years, so I can study, to continue to have new items and learn more and share with Gayatri as much as we can. And for me, it's very interesting, that part. So since in a short way, that has been my life and my introduction to Bharatanatyam. In Mexico, I have the opportunity to work, since because I have been a teacher for so many years. I teach modern dance for many, many, many years in different schools. And then I started the teaching of Bharatanatyam. Slowly, slowly, my life has been really focused onto Bharatanatyam. Modern dance is still with me, and it comes sometimes in my choreographies, in my new work that I sometimes am doing some fusion of modern dance and Bharatanatyam. But still, I have my traditional work of Bharatanatyam that I really respect a lot. I love tradition, so I really enjoy that part, and is the way I introduce Bharatanatyam to my students. First we have to understand the tradition and the serious things. Then once you're really into that, then you maybe can start doing something else. That's my point of view, very personal point of view, after learning different styles and techniques of dance. No, so I think it's the best way to introduce the students to all these things. For me, the dance is a way of life. It's something very important that I have to teach to my students, that you have to be serious when you decide to come into this path of life, because you really have to work with yourself. You really have to be compromised. You really need a discipline to really get into the feeling and the touch and the reality of the dance in your body, so then you really can express and project. That's my way of teaching. That's my way of going in this long road of the dance. So I'm still dealing with that. I have had like 2 3 kind of groups of dance. Now I'm working with my last students that have been with me at least 7 10 years with me working. So we present our performances every year. We have a new season of dance, and that's more or less how I have been doing that. So here I am.
That's very inspirational, Patricia J. Thank you so much for willing to be a part of this. And I think your story is very inspiring To everyone, including the artists over here, thanks for sharing your journey with us.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So I want to introduce now Mariana Flores. I've been predominantly in touch with Mariana and Denny when we first sort of started putting this series together. So I want to take a minute to thank Mariana for all the time and effort. Thanks again. Mariana actually has a psychology degree from the Universidad Autonoma de Mexico, and she graduated in 1999. Her dance form is Mohiniyattam, and she studies with Gio Legorreta since 2000. And in 2006, she traveled to India to study with teacher Nirmala Panikar at the Natana Kairali, right? Am I right? In Irinjalakuda in Kerala. So, for a council member, Ruth Luevanos, this is like the place to learn Mohiniyattam from. So she literally went to the center of this art form. And at that time, she also learned yoga, Ayurveda, and Carnatic music, which is a Indian classical music form. And in 2011, she returned to Mexico, and in 2012, she joined the Cultural Center Gurudev Tagore at the Indian Embassy in Mexico as a Mohiniyattam teacher and dancer. And from May 2020, she's decided to continue taking Mohiniyattam lessons online with her guru, Dr. Nikhila Vinod, who is a Kala Mandalam from Kerala. Mariana, thank you so much for all your efforts in bringing all of us together and enthusiastically supporting our initiative. I have to thank Denny as well, but I'll turn the platform over to you, Mariana, to say a few words. Thank you.
Thank you, Ranjini, and good afternoon, everybody. Well, when I finished my degree in psychology, I was looking for something like I feel the need that something some part of my life was a little empty, so I was looking for something, and when I start to study Mohiniyattam, I feel like that empty part of my life was starts to get full, like a very nice way to be in touch with myself, not only with my body, but also with my soul. So for me, the path of the dance from I start until now, until today, is like a very nice journey inside of me. I have to say that in 2006 I went with Nirmala Panikar because she is the teacher of Geo Legorreta. So in my need to be more to go more deep in my Mohiniyattam studies, I went with her because Heo was teaching Nirmala's style. And Guru Nirmala, she learned from Kalyani Kutyama. So she's doing like Kalyani Kutyama's style, but now she's transforming or changing the style. So now we can say that is Nirmalaji style. And when I went back to Mexico, I continue the practice of Mohiniyattam with Geo Leborreta. But in 2009, I get the ICCR scholarship. And but in the list of the schools of the ICCR, Guru Nirmala was not there in Natana Kairali, that is the school of she and her husband. That Natana Kairali was not in the list, so I have to choose Kerala Kalamandalam. So from 2009 to 2011, I study Mohiniyattam in Kalamandalam, but Kalamandalam is a different style. So we have, I said we because we were 3 Mexicans, Denny, Veronica, and I. We have to start from the beginning, from the very basic steps and the very basic items. So after 1 year, we could do our Arangetam in Kutambalam, in the Kutambalam in Kalamandalam. That is a very beautiful place, right, with music alive. That is also, when you can dance with music alive, it's like you are traveling to another part of the universe. And in 2011, I came back to Mexico, and I start to share my knowledge with my students in Gurudev Tagore Cultural Center. And I think that when you have the opportunity to teach, you are growing in a different way. So you can learn with a teacher, but when you have the opportunity to teach and to explain the movements to another people, you have, I think you your knowledge increase, because you have to understand very well, and you have to transform the knowledge to make it more easy to the people, to that they can understand in more easy way. Yes. So, and also I think that we are like a bridge between Indian teach form. Let me think, like way to teach, and a Mexican way to teach. Because here in Mexico, the students are very different from Indian, and also the teachers. So when you study in India, the students are like they have a very active role, because they have to practice and practice. If the teacher is not there, the students have to practice. If the teacher is there, they have to practice. Always they are practicing. But here in Mexico, the people only practice when the teacher is there. So it's a very different from the way that we learn, and the way that we teach, that we have to make like a balance. Correct. Between both styles. Yes. But that is a very enrichment. Absolutely. Also. Absolutely. Yes.
Thank you so much, Mariana Ji, for sharing those kind words. While, the artists were talking, I was just kind of recollecting our past 3 seasons, and, the messages that are coming from the artists are so positive and very similar, when you start thinking about why does somebody, no one tells us to do this, right? No one tells us go learn dance or music of another culture. It's all self-motivated. We are drawn to a particular thing, and artists such as yourself have really taken it to the next level, and inspired so many of us. Even if we are not artists, I think it's a great, valuable lesson to our children, to embrace and imbibe cross culture. So thank you so much, Mariana, for those words, and also for bringing all of us together. I want to move on to Denny. Actually, Denny was the first person I actually contacted. You know, while I was we were curating the series from other countries, and we were curating the series from Russia. I came across Denny's Mohiniyattam page, and I was like, "Wow, this is interesting." And we had featured Natalie Ramirez from Mexico in our season 2. She's a flutist. And so I reached out to Denny, and Denny is actually Denny Manjri. She studied contemporary dance at the Olin Yolisky, please correct me if I'm wrong, School, Design and Visual Communication at UNAM. She obtained a scholarship from the ICCR, which is the Indian Council for Cultural Relations, to study Mohiniyattam in Kerala Kalamandalam, India from 2009 to 11. And during that time, she learned Carnatic music, Odissi style dance, and Kudiyattam, which is what Denny will be performing in SciArtsRUs. It's a dance theater based in Sanskrit with Guru Kalamandalam Girija, of whom she is still a student. In 2013, the government of her province awarded her a scholarship to develop the project, the dance stories of the, is it the Magui? How do you pronounce that, Denny? I'm sorry if I'm again mispronouncing it.
No, don't worry. Maguey, it's
Magui.
agave.
Okay. Okay.
It's a plant.
You have performed Mohiniyattam recitals in many different places: Sucre, Bolivia, Kerala, and different forums in the Mexican Republic. And she has also studied improvisation theater with the Teatro de los Andes in Bolivia, a diploma in ritual dance, and a diploma in anthropology of art. And in July of 2021, she organized and attended the first Kudiyattam workshop, the dance theater form that I mentioned. And I have to say, you know, it's one of the very rare dance theater forms that's still being practiced in India. And hats off to you, Denny, for, you know, learning this and actually performing that as well on SciArtsRUs. You know, so she attended the first Kudiyattam workshop in Mexico, Ramayana, an introductory journey to Kudiyattam that was taught by her guru. Without further ado, I'll turn it over to you, Denny, again to say a few words. Thank you.
Thank you so much to you, Ranjini. Good afternoon to everybody. I will try my best English. Well, it's a very, very special moment, like a cycle, because 12 years ago, like October 2nd, I woke up in India for first time in Tiruturuti, the place where Kerala Kalamandalam is. So 12 years ago, I reached India, but my story with Indian arts started before, no? Like 15 years ago around. The first touch I had was with Odissi workshop. Then Mohiniyattam classes. So Mariana was one of my first teachers, sorry, Mohiniyattam. Yes, so we have a happy story, I think. So when I reached Kerala, like second or third day I was there, I meet Girija, Kalamandalam Girija house and family, because they offer their house for living, no, to like a room, and so for that time I was living with the family. Even I was studying Mohiniyattam at Kalamandalam. And so our story and my story about Kudiatam start that time. Because sometime before, no, sorry, after, I know about Kudiatam. Before in Mexico, I never knew about Kudiatam. So because my teacher and their family, I meet Kudiatam, and I was studying Mohiniyattam, but I say, oh, this is a treasure, no? This art form, right, and this theater, no, that it's so old. So I asked her for classes. So I start to learn, and we in holidays, in Kalamandalam holidays, we had an intensive workshop like that. Then I was like some in Kalamandalam, continue with Mohiniyattam lessons and classes and practicing, and also Kudiatam, and was like amazing because my teacher talked about my Aranguetam, Kudiatam Aranguetam before my Mohiniyattam Aranguetam. So we prepared that. We work a lot for my Aranguetam. Then I continue. I was like more in Mohiniyattam, but never stopped to learn Kudiatam. Like,
did you do your debut, the Arangetram, for both in parallel, or did one, like, did you do Kudiatam first and then Mohiniyattam?
Yes, I did Kudiatam first, then Mohiniyattam. Then we also had Carnatic music voice, no? Chant in Aranguetam. We had also with Mariana and Veronica, another Matt. So was like a long story to come back to Kudiatam. Like this year was my year to come back to Kudiatam. No, I never stopped my touch. I always keep in touch with my teacher and with their family. Always I ask for workshop. She was interested in about coming to Mexico for performance and for workshops, and for me it was like, okay, I have to find a way to do something. And this year we find a way to do a workshop online.
That's fabulous.
So yes. Mariana ji and Yogendra ji was there helping me, and also teaching. So yes, this year for me is like I have to do Kudiatam. I have to continue practicing. I have to embodying, no, I don't know how to say, like all that knowledge I had from my teacher and continue with that. So in July, we had this workshop for Ramayana, no, like the first part of Ramayana,
Right.
in mudras, no, mainly in mudras and like Gurudev style, and then like another dance, and I will present.
No, thank you so much, Denny, for your sharing your journey. I just wanted to quickly mention Council Member Ruth Luevanos has another meeting at 4 o'clock. Before she really quickly leaves, I want to introduce the other two artists, and then we'll talk in detail. But Saknekte is a Odissi dancer. She's learned Odissi. Thank you, Saknekte ji, for joining. And also Claudia Lanos is a Kalbelia dancer. It's a dance form from Rajasthan, and I will do the introduction in detail, but since council member has to leave soon, I just wanted to quickly introduce the two of you. And thank you so much.
I'm actually going to my daughter's quinceañera practice, which is a Mexican traditional coming of age dance. So I apologize, actually a personal family thing I have to do, but please reach out to me. We just got a $150,000 grant for the Simi Valley Cultural Arts Center. I would love to have you come perform and speak, and this is exactly the kind of event we would love to see in Simi Valley at our Cultural Arts Center. So I left my voicemail, my email, and my cell phone number. Please get in contact with me, and thank you for having me, and I apologize for having to leave early.
Thank you so much, council member, for your time. We really, really, truly appreciate your words and your encouragement. Thank you. Have a good afternoon.
Gracias.
Gracias. Thank you so much for your patience. I want to introduce Saknekte ji right now. So Saknekte ji is an Odissi dancer and an actress, who graduated from the Academia de la Danza Mexicana back in between 1986 and 1994, and from the Escuela Nacional de Arte Teatral. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly. Sorry if I didn't pronounce it correctly. But this was back from 1995 through 99. She began her training as an Odissi interpreter. Wow, in 1995. Is it DJ Hal Vinavar in Mexico City. And she was a fellow of the Indian Council for Cultural Relations as well, and the FONCA study abroad program to do the Odissi dance specialization at the Gandharva Mahavidyalaya School in New Delhi, India, with Madhvi Mudgalji. She has been a disciple in this discipline of renowned teachers and dancers such as Madhvi Mudgal, Jahil, I guess it's probably Jahil, right?
Yes.
Vinavar, Piali De, Somali Bose, and Sangeeta Ishwaran, as well as Guruji Manoranjan Pradhan. She has participated professionally as an Odissi dancer, representing the Embassy of India in Mexico, and as an independent dancer in various forums and festivals in Mexico since 1996. For the past 10 years, almost 2010 to 20, she's been the Odissi dancer at the Gurudev Tagore Cultural Center of India, sponsored by the ICCR. And she is also a Hatha Yoga teacher for the stable cast of the National Theatre Company in Mexico City, 2011. But currently, very versatile Saknekte ji, you're an Odissi dance teacher and a director of the newly formed company Danza Odissi Saknekte, and creator of the School for the Professionalization of Odissi Dance Kathakar. Thank you so much, Saknekte ji, for joining us. I'd like to turn over the platform to you to share a few words about your journey.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having us. We usually work all together, like Yogendra ji, Patricia, Mariana, and now Denis and Claudia also. So we are close friends now, no? Because this journey is difficult one here in Mexico, but with them, it's easier, always. So I began being a dancer since a very young age. I started in the Academia de la Danza Mexicana. I was trained like ballet dancer and a modern dancer, and also a Mexican folk dance, which I failed always. It was so difficult for me. So I was thinking always, well, this is not the way that I can express myself. So I have to find something else. So as soon as I finished the school, I decided to become an actress. And I reached the National School of Arts. And when I was in the first year, I met Jael Binaber because I was in her modern dance company. I was a dancer in there. And we used to train with modern dance and Odyssey dance, but not the classical way, just with a few movements and very fusionated. And she bring Manoranjan Pradhan, and he gave a workshop here in Mexico. So I took it and I became in love with Odyssey dance. And I say, this is what I was looking for all my life, because I found theater and dance in the same path. So I really realized that I was in a wrong path before, because I really enjoy dance, but not in that way. And I really enjoy acting, but not in that way also. So I have to do something about it. And as soon as I finished the career in art, in theater, I received the scholarship from the ICCR, and I reached to India like 2 months after I was taking my oath to become an actress, and I dropped it. So I reached to Delhi along with another Mexicans, and I wasn't alone there. And for us, the experience was a little bit different, like my colleagues, because we went to the school, not Guru Shisha Parampara, just the school, but it was very tough one, not very serious one, very prestigious one. So we have to work every day, in every single moment. You have to train. We didn't understand anything because sometimes the classes were in Hindi, not in English, because they forgot that were some foreigners in the class. So we were like picking up everything and taking notes and making all the effort. But it was difficult. It was very difficult. I really enjoyed that. And when I came back to Mexico, it was the first time that I realized that what I'm doing, it's new here in Mexico, relatively new. And if I ask for help to my government, they denied, because you are dancing Indian dance. And if I reach to the embassy, they say, well, you are an Indian dancer, but you are not Indian, you're Mexican. So I became like rare artist, no? Because I'm Mexican, but I don't do any Mexican dance. I became in love with another culture. And for some time that bothered me a little bit, like, well, what I'm doing with this? But as soon as I met Yogendra, he told me something that changed my life. We are here just to share who we are in essential. And that particular dance, it's part of my spirit, I feel. It's the way that I can communicate. It's the way that I can perform. It's the way that I can teach. It's the way that I can learn. So it's just the way. This is my way to be a person here now. So now I dedicate all my life to the Odyssey dance. It's very weird for me because I quit acting in the modern way, I quit modern dance and of course ballet, and I became a teacher suddenly. And as Mariana says, it was a very enlightening path also, because especially in the pandemic, when we stopped teaching at the Gurudev Tagore Indian Cultural Center, I took my students with me, and we have been training by Zoom meetings, and some of them can come when the pandemic allows, and it's a different way to learn, it's a different way to teach, and it's a different way to dance also, because you don't have the audience, you don't have your students, you cannot touch them to correct all the things, that you only have your voice and your movements and your and your internet connection if it is work, and that's it. So, but it also opened this door to become in touch again with my teacher, Vialide, in New Delhi. I couldn't go to India for many years, but now I just have to be in touch by Zoom with her, and we are training, and we are chatting, and we are rehearsing, and everything. That's a very nice thing that the pandemic brought us. But it's a difficult journey, and they know.
Right. No, I think Sakniktaji, what you're saying, reminded me of two things, Number one is, while we are curating this cross-culture series, in our very first season, we had a multi-instrumentalist from Italy who lives in Bali, and he practices music of the world. And he told me in his interview in the meet and greet, he said, yes, it's cross-culture, but he believes that the cultures, they transcend boundaries, that, we kind of blend into one another. So even in a way, saying something as a cross-culture performance or a cross-culture dance or music, in his vocabulary, it shouldn't even be there, that everything kind of blends in with each other. So we shouldn't even look at it as two different cultures or many different cultures coming together. And I think it's a message that keeps coming back, even based on what you're saying. I think ultimately, if we can reach out to some people and say that, we are able to blend and transcend boundaries, we've, achieved some success. And then the second thing I wanted to say, just like you said, the pandemic was challenging, but I think the pandemic has helped all of us connect, the cross-culture series within SciArtsRUs. We've literally taken a trip around the world, and I don't know if that would have been possible if it were not for the pandemic forcing us to get on Zoom and, collaborate virtually. So thank you for saying those words and sharing your journey with us. We are so excited to have you, Eugenia Ji, today. Thank you. A little introduction about you. Eugenia Cano studied performing arts at the National Theater School in Mexico City, and she did special courses on corporal mime in the Corporal Mime School of Montreal, Canada, 1995 to 97. And very interestingly, she also did Kathakali studies at Kerala Kala Mandalam in India over a period of 4 years from 97 to 2001. She has participated in more than 20 plays as a performer, has directed more than 15 plays, and in 2002, she founded her own company, Teatro Kalipatos. Am I right with the pronunciation? With this group, she has created many different projects, and I'm going to let Eugenia Ji speak to some of them, rather than me going through the various productions. Suffice it to say, there's been immense number of productions and very varied. 3 years, she's organized a forum with these groups in the cities of Guanajuato and Salamanca. She has been a scholar of the Mexican Funding for Arts and Culture, the FONCA organization, the Indian Council for Cultural Relationships, ICCR, the Guanajuato State Cultural Institute, and Mexican West Center Funding for Arts and Culture. Her work has been presented in many countries in Latin America, Canada, the United States, Denmark, Wales, Belgium, India, UAE, Bahrain, oh my goodness, and the Republic of Congo, to name a few. And she is also a scholar by the Mexican Funding for Arts and Culture. And we are absolutely excited and thrilled to have you, Eugenia Ji. Very warm welcome to the Cross Culture Concerts on SciArtsRUs.
Fine, thank you, Ranjini. Thank you for the invitation. I'm very happy to be in this space, which enable us to see all this richness of the cross-cultural movement in the world.
Absolutely, absolutely, Eugenia G. Your background has been so intriguing to me, and I know we've spoken now a few different times. And the way our cross culture was initially launched was to simply ask the question, why or what is the message behind when an artist chooses to learn music or dance of another culture? Somebody like yourself represents this so well, in terms of the way you have integrated your background in Kathakali and also all the works that you've done, which are groundbreaking to me, to say the least. I was wondering, Eugenia Ji, if you will be able to speak a little bit to your journey.
Retaking these questions you made, how can a person be interested in learning something which belongs to a very, very distant place? Of course, at the beginning, I didn't know this. Of course, at the beginning, I started learning because I took a Kathakali workshop and I liked, and I said, I want to learn this, and that's it. Right. But now, like making memory of that time, I think we choose to learn something because that discipline or speaks to us in a way, to your body, to your mind, to your sound. There is something in common, maybe something in your history, very, very, very back, has a connection with that. And I think if we choose to learn something from another place, I almost sure in another life or in another way, you had a connection with that place. For example, when it happened to me, I took a workshop in Montreal when I was living in Montreal. Okay. And I remember the first or the second class in which the teacher asked us to start doing the steps and to start doing the sound on the floor. Before starting anything else, he said, okay, go and try to take the sound from the floor. And we started to doing this with the feet. And in one moment, I felt that I already had done that before. It was but it was with a sensation with the body. Wow. And I think that connection happens when we decide to learn something which belongs to a very, very distant place.
Everyone, has a different journey, and this is not necessarily just in the context of Indian music, but I think the similarity that we are seeing between all the different artists is there is almost something intangible that you connect with, and then you start following that in your journey. Like you said, something like, the movement of the beats, and it pulled you into that and made you want to learn something rather rare, like something like Kathakali. While it's obviously extremely popular back in India, outside of India, there's not as much, I've seen artists who pursue it. And to your point, there's been lots of similarities, right? Like to Kathakali as an art form, I know there's similarities to certain Japanese and Chinese dance forms. When you took on Kathakali, Eugenia Ji, did you kind of feel like a draw to it? How was the reception here in Mexico when we brought it here? I mean, what's your experience there?
Well, it was long ago when I came back. In fact, Kathakali was not, well, even now it's not so known in Mexico also. Even in India, I mean, Kathakali is also popular in Kerala, but even there outside Kerala, we can see Kathakali maybe in Delhi. In Calcutta, there are some groups, but it's very few.
Correct.
Kathakali takes sense only in Kerala. So when I was coming back to Mexico, of course, I wasn't expecting to make a Kathakali troupe here, or even though I was not thinking about a huge school or on Kathakali, because Kathakali belongs to a very specific place, to a very specific public. We cannot take it and put in another place because it's out of context. But when I was coming back, I was thinking, what was important for me? What could I take with me and could help me to develop my work? Of course, it was the Kathakali training, which is really, really a huge, very, very strong element that I can use in my work for contemporary theater. And speaking with my Asian, I will speak about my Asian after. I realized that the element that units all the rest of the elements in Kathakali was rhythm. That's why I was researching on this element, on this item for a long time, because it's the element that in a way gives a structure to all this art form.
Very interesting.
So that's the way I focus my work when I came back to Mexico. I was not trying to make like an imitation or to teach exactly Kathakali,
Correct.
but to take like the power it has and make something similar here.
Do you have any challenges, performing one role versus the other? And I mean, and correct me if I'm wrong, when I was growing up back in India, and we used to watch Kathakali on the television, predominantly. And to your point, even growing up in India, I've not seen a live show. But I've predominantly seen it being dominated by male characters, or, the male dance. So in your performances, there's been both, and I was wondering if you might be able to comment a little bit about that.
Yes, of course. I mean, Kathakali, it's a male discipline and it's a male art form from the beginning.
Right.
And it was written by men, it was performed by men, so of course it's full of male characters.
Correct.
There are very nice female characters also, but in general it's full of male characters. But remembering that time, in Kathakali it's not like you are a woman, then you perform a female character. You are a man, then you perform a male character. It doesn't work like that. It's more, as men perform female characters, this distribution, they don't search like the woman for this distribution.
Correct.
Because in the beginning, they had only men who were performing.
Right.
So they won't search for a woman to perform a woman.
Yeah.
They search for someone who has female qualities, which is different.
Right.
And For example, I am a woman, but I have a very strong male energy. So for me, when I have to perform Expresión, was more difficult. And also for my face.
Right.
Just for the face. I had classmates who were very thin, very, I don't know, very fine features. And when I was looking at them, makeup as a woman, they were much more feminine than I. So,
Interesting.
so it's not a question of being a woman or a man to perform that kind of characters. It depends on the energy and also on your features and on your structure.
Right.
Because well, now less, but I have cheeks and big eyes, so I was like I had like all the qualities to perform a Pacha characters, for example,
Correct.
a male role. They never let me to perform the Chubanatadis, the big ones, because they told me, no, you don't fit for that role. Yeah, so it has more to do with your physical aspect, your energy, with your energy than with being a woman or being a man. No, I mean, just to tell them maybe that when they think about a play, you can think about, like, when you think about a play, you should think about a play as if it was a party. So when you prepare and organize a party,
Right.
you expect all the guests are okay. You want to make them participate. You want to share a time with them. You want them to go happy when they go back home. So when you prepare a play, you must think of that, because there are many plays that I have seen, and you feel that you are invited to a party and nobody cares about you.
Interesting.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, so when I think about the public, it's in that sense.
Some of the messages that have come across from yours is beyond cross-cultural, right? It's like try to connect with your surroundings also, and a lot of your productions are conveying that message as well. We're very excited to have this feature on you, Eugenia G. For the sake of our audience that's tuned in, we will be featuring, a few different productions and performances by Eugenia G. A couple related to Kathakali, and hopefully there's going to be at least one related to some of Eugenia G's sort of cross-cultural sort of angle. So we encourage all of you to stay tuned and watch this series over the next 2 or 3 episodes. Thanks so much, Eugenia G. Last but definitely not the least, we've saved the best for last for today. Claudia Llanos, welcome today. Claudia is a professional dancer and researcher from Mexico City, specializing in the folk dance from Rajasthan, India, like I was just mentioning. She learned these dances by living with the Kalbelia tribe, also known as the snake charmers, in the Thar Desert in Rajasthan. She is also a practitioner of Kathak classical Indian dance. She has performed in several events and festivals in Europe, USA, India, and Mexico, and she is one of the main representatives of Rajasthani culture in Mexico. She is dedicated to spread this art form through her own classes and also by producing online performances and workshops from the most renowned dancers from Rajasthan to Mexico and to the rest of the world. Claudia G, pleasure to have you today. Please, I'd like to turn the platform over to you to share a little bit about your journey with us. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I feel so honored to be here. Thank you, Ranjini, Mariana, Deni, for bringing us together. And of course, thank you to Patty, Sagnite, and Mariana, who I always tell them once and again and again and again how much grateful I am towards them for inspiring me, because when I was 15 years old, I saw them performing Indian art and I was like, wow, no, delighted by these Indian art forms. For sure, they are like big doors of Indian culture to Mexico, and this marked my life. Um, First, I am from an artist family. So since I was little, I was surrounded by music and different art forms, but mainly by music. I also studied like since very little, like the classical dance forms that are introduced to states, like ballet, jazz and tap, or these kind of things that are very common in Mexico. But I used to play when I was like around 5 years old to make dancing rituals. I remember to play alone in the like in the garden to make some ritual to connect with God through dance. I don't know where did I got this idea. Because definitely it's not a ballet thing or anything like this. But I was playing like this. And while I grew up, I always kept the spiritual path, the music, the art as a way to connect with God. And so I kept studying music and different traditional dances, and I I really found in love with different music art forms, especially from India. I was very in love with Indian music, and that one thing takes you to another, to another, to another. So sometimes I feel like the path takes you. It's not like you walk towards that path. The path
I agree.
so I was like looking forward, how does this music that I love, how it does it gets into the body and manifest and express the dance, no? So I am always very curious. So I started studying different dance styles till I found Calvelia and Kathak, which is both are the art forms from the north of India. So yes, even I was very amazed by looking to my didis, to my friends, Mariana and Zach, to see these beautiful dance forms from South. I still didn't felt the click to go deeply to swim into Indian art forms till I find these two dances, Calvelia and Kathak. So I started studying also at the ICCR, Cultural Center of India in Mexico, Kathak, and my Guruji Garima, she is from Rajasthan, so she started teaching me Rajasthani dance. After that, I went to India to keep learning from them. And since then, the journey has been very long. I never stopped getting in touch with my teachers, going to India, study. But one thing I wanted to share with you is I have, like, between all these things that I like to study, I have one teacher who is a singer, and she's from Serbia. We were at USA, actually at Mendocino Camp. I don't know if you know, they're in California. Anyway, I remember once she said about traditional music and dance, how they are full of life experiences. So when we see traditional, either classical or folk dances from any part of the world,
Yeah.
it has something very special and very powerful because it is fulfilled with history, with context, with community, with things that are true by experience of someone. So it's like a spirit, like traditions have a spirit, like these art forms are very strong because of this, because it touches lives for real. So this is something I found very special with Calvelia dance, especially like I find more than steps or like a technical way Of course, it has the technical aspect, but it's full of life and tradition. And for me, it's very important to like the context that Calvelia dance, it's being evolving and how it has been changed during the time. How does this dance has been changing inside the Calvelia community, and how the world had taken also Calvelia dance. How many, like we are many girls from many parts of the world very interested into learning this dance, that it's very like local, and how this dance is, what place does this dance have inside Indian community in India. So I find this very rich things, very important things to get to know, because this help us to understand our own possibilities, our own context. So definitely I find this cross-cultural experience of art a way to transcend our own limits of imagination, our own limits of expression, our own limits of thinking, of living, and of breathing, of everything. So I find this very, very important. And I also feel like you all are saying this online thing, this quarantine, maybe is very bad in many aspects, but also it's a blessing in many aspects. So I find this in this way more blessings towards Calvelia dance, because I have the opportunity to connect my students to my teachers. No, so I find this very valuable. It's not easy on the way that, as they were also saying, the way of teaching. So in India is more like follow and pay attention and open your eyes and try to follow the best you can. No, but sometimes sometimes even you are in your phone, no, so it's very small screen. So it's not easy to see what finger she used, no, like very small details. But what I try to say to my students, more to try to work on the things that more than try to focus on the things that we cannot and like that are not the best, try to focus with a more wide view. Where are they? How are they giving the class? How are they feeling? How is the context where they are giving the class? How is their dance? How is the music? What is the music saying? So it's a big journey towards Rajasthani culture. And the more I get to know, the more I get closer to this culture, I see more to learn. So I feel this is very infinite path inside the Indian art, this Indian art form, and arts in general. So I'm very glad and happy to be here sharing this path with all of you.
Amazing, Claudia G. Thank you for sharing that those words and your journey. What a pleasure and honor to have you as well in this series. For the audience, who's just joined us, we've been speaking to these fabulous artists from Mexico, who've spent like decades of their life, practicing various dance forms, specifically various dance forms from India, classical and folk. And this is part of our cross-culture concert Celebrate Our Difference series. And, we're very thankful to have all these artists share their journey. I want to turn it over just one more time to Yogendra Ji to say a few closing words before, we share information about our program with our audience, if that's okay, Yogendra Ji.
Sure, thanks. Look, but I feel that culture is a living organism. So it's not only a being, it's a becoming also. So we learn something from the culture and then we start living it, and then it becomes a becoming through us also.
Correct.
And also what I feel here, that the basics are very clear in the artist I'm accompanied today with. The basics are very clear. And what I say about basics is the intention and the emotion. These two words are very important, especially in Indian art, scenic art especially. So once we were talking about what is the function of pranam, or stuti in the beginning. And that's what, when I go to the performance of Patti, Sak, Mariana, and Claudia, the moment they do this pranam, the things change around. And when, especially, they use the word Guruji, or they touch their ear, or they use the word Ji with Guru, So, so these things, for me, it has become the part of, them. And I'm not saying that here in other cultures, the teachers are not respected. I'm sure they are respected and they get that. But I can talk about more about Indian culture, and that's what I see, that they start breathing the moment they become Indian artists. No, the moment they are dressed, in the moment they even enter the class, they are a totally different person. They are just they become the art itself. The art itself.
Absolutely.
They carry this tradition. They carry this tradition, and as Mariana said very rightly, that, and then they use all the knowledge they have about Mexican culture also, how to how to transfer and how to give that, how to share that to the students. So only thing I can say that I'm so glad, even in Mexico, thanks to them, I feel as if I was in India. So they are true carrier, they true, they are bearing, I mean, Indian culture in their heart, not only in their techniques. So I'm so glad, and I feel so lucky to be with them.
Absolutely, Yogendra ji. Once again, when you were saying it, I was reflecting when we had our artists from Japan. We had Mr. Yogi, who was our guest. In a very sort of analogous situation, he said, he was thanking the artists from Japan who were keeping the Indian art alive and teaching that to the Indians and other people. And keeping the art alive, and that we need to thank the folks who are doing this, and by that same analogy, thanks to all of you for doing exactly that. And once again, this happens to be focus on Indian arts, but this all the artists, hats off to all the artists who have taken the trouble to learn music or dance of another culture and keep it alive. Including the folks from Mexico who are here today with us. Immense thanks to all of you, and Yogendra ji, you're kind of the bridge there as well, bringing everyone together. Thank you for those words and being a part of this initiative with us. We couldn't be more thankful to all of you.
Oh, thank you. A bridge is useless if nobody goes from one side to another.
That's true.
Hence, we use the bridge. Otherwise, bridge is completely useless.
That's true. But I do think, the fact that we have these artists, practicing Indian dance, and, it's thriving, and, and we have the honor of showcasing all of you on the Cross Culture platform. We truly appreciate that. I want to take a moment to thank our audience that's been with us through these last 3 seasons. Thank you so much for the support to the initiative, to the artists, and encouraging us to keep going with it. Please stay tuned. We are going to be launching this also as part of the National Hispanic Heritage Month series. Follow the SciArtsRUs Facebook page and YouTube channel for updates when we'll be premiering each of these unique dancers and their performances. Without your support, we couldn't continue with this. I also want to thank once again Council Member Ruth, who joined us from the city of Simi Valley. Very kind of them. We've enjoyed the support of the city of Simi Valley, and we hope to continue doing so. Thank you all once again for your time and sharing your journey, and I look forward to continued collaboration with all of you. Thank you.